when you attract your business to you and you actually are who you are, you get people who want to work with you, and you don't have to fake it every day. You don't have to go be a chameleon and change your views and your opinions and laugh at other people's jokes and smile at people you don't even like.
Yeah.
That's what rips your soul out of this business, right?
Totally,
and
for sure.
We all have a different match out there. The perfect client for Jeff is different than the perfect client for Ryan.
Hey everybody, Ryan Hodge here from the realty firm, Ryan Hodge Coaching and Consulting, and the Integrity Vow, and this is the Rise Up podcast, which I am super excited about bringing this new project of mine to the real estate environment and beyond, looking to bring people that have documented results. In other words, they actually walk the talk. They have done things inside of the industry and outside of it that are generating results, not only for themselves, but for some of the people that they lead. And today I am so honored to welcome my friend and longtime industry colleague, Jeff Thibodeau, who is the broker owner of Redline in Brantford. He is a coach with the Tom Ferry organization, and he is doing some epic things, both inside and outside of real estate. So Jeff, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I got to add a couple of asterisks. I'm the co-owner. I got to shout out to my partner, Mike, who is our broker of record here in Brantford and former Tom Ferry coach and client. I still support the organization inside and out, but I'm not affiliated with them today in any way, but still amazing organization. A lot of my agents interface with. So thanks for all the shout outs and appreciate again the call to have me on the podcast again. We always dig into something different than we expect, I find, when we chat. Hey, Ryan.
For sure, man. And I think that is one of the main reasons that I reached out. I mean, you're always, willing to contribute and you come from that space of abundance. I think right now what I've recognized in the industry, especially over the last year and a half, there's a lot of theorists out there, but not just that. The real estate industry is always crying for more on, the mindset space. They're looking for more, how to get outside of, their own heads and into that path of productivity. And I think you're an excellent example of how to do that. So maybe you can give us some brief insight on, who you are, where you started. I mean, most of the people that follow along with me would know you as well, but for those that don't, maybe just a general background would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, like the 5-minute bio. I went to school after high school for computer programming, and it's because I was kind of good at it. It was my interest even as a teenager. My dad was bringing computers home pretty early in our life and stuff. But pretty much through college, I realized computer programming was just a factory job in front of a computer. It wasn't this cool thing. I wasn't being trained to make video games, where I was being trained to process data, right? Mm-hmm. Or do a bank app or something like that. So it wasn't that inspiring to me, but I stuck through with it. But by a stroke of luck, I got a co-op job at a market research firm as a computer programmer in an IT department. But very quickly, we realized there wasn't that much computer programming work to do. So I ended up navigating my way around that company and really that whole industry, going to all the post-secondary courses in the industry courses, not like college, and learning that industry inside out, and then still bringing my interest in all things tech. I'm always the first to buy a gadget or to try to build his own website or just whatever, put a video out, even if it's just of my kids playing in the backyard. But I just like this stuff.
Sure.
So then I hit a glass ceiling pretty young in the market research industry, where I had a choice of either moving into Metro Toronto to try to chase it as a career or pivoting. And I had just come off the heels of buying and selling my own first house and thought, wow, that seemed kind of easy for how much money that guy just made. To be quite honest, it was my main motivator. I was like, I think I could do that. I also thought I could bring some of my kind of more, tech forward ideas, building your own websites, generating Google leads and stuff like that to the business when it was not commonplace in like 2007 or 8 at all for people to be doing this. This is like pre-iPhone, pre-Facebook to the average person, right? So I just dove in. I got my courses, but then I quickly got my seat at my brokerage and realized I was not equipped for this job at all. It was very hard. I had never had a forward-facing position in my life. I'd never been in customer service or waiter or anything like that. I'd always been in the back, right? And not had to develop any of these skills. So after a couple of years of struggling part-time, trying to keep some money coming in from market research and trying to do real estate, I ended up seeing Tom Ferry on stage at a conference, and I thought, well, there's like, out of all the coaches I had been exposed to so far, a lot of it didn't feel like me. They felt like they were going to go teach me how to be a salesperson.
Yeah.
And Tom seemed to have a different approach. So I signed up for the coaching program, and like most things, I'm a good student. So I just dove in. But, over an experience of, 5 years or so of being coached there through different coaches and going to all the conferences and meeting amazing people, I kind of transformed myself into a realtor by learning from the best. And that led me to, success as a realtor in my market, growing a sales team under a national franchise, and then eventually breaking that off and launching my own boutique brokerage, which is now grown to be the number 3 company, only behind the 2, big national franchises in my city. And continues to grow. I'm really proud we grow completely organically. We don't do any outbound recruiting. We never pick up the phone to ask anybody to come over here or advertise for it. So we've really focused on culture. And then the latest thing is we've been able to, take everything we've learned over all these years, helping other people do real estate transactions, and start doing a lot more for ourselves. So becoming investors of our own, developers of our own, and doing it all, right? While I'm raising 2 kids and trying to have a life. So yeah, that brings us up to today. It's been a really fun, I started in it at 2008, right at the biggest financial crisis the world had ever seen. We recovered from that. We saw 2017 market. Now we're in this pandemic, and, life for me has just been about adjusting and pivoting just a bit quicker than whatever else is going on. And so, yeah, here we are today. And I feel like we're still just kind of getting warmed up,
Sure.
It's fun.
It's funny that you talk about organic, and I don't know if everybody knows, but I recall when, I got started in 08 as well, and we had connected through a realtor to realtor referral network. And, I was doing all the typical traditional advertising, direct mail and online leads and, cold prospecting, everything. And you were growing your Facebook organically. And, I would laugh because I was spending all this money. You're generating these huge results, but you're doing it for free. Do you think that can still be done? I mean, your Facebook pages and your groups, do you think that a realtor now can still crack into things that way, that you did that?
Well, so maybe not the same way I did it, because the tools and the playing field's different, but there's new tools and new playing fields. So there's always, I had success in building, a community Facebook page because I was the first one to realize that I could claim the name of my city and build a community around it, So people connected with the fact that they lived here and they hit the like button. And then when you could advertise it, we could just run tiny little ads that said, do you live in this town? You should like this page. You can't do that again today. 100 people have done it, but you can certainly, still today start a brand new Instagram account and organically build it with people that actually are interested in you and the things you like. And so I think there's always, real estate on that side of things. I think what's different, Ryan, if I look back at it, is like using the tools as these digital versions of our sphere activities versus using them as advertising mediums and lead generation mediums, right? It's kind of these two they're still both available. I was doing those too. I was doing the pay-per-click ads on Google, but I was also trying to build a page called We Love Brantford that people endeared to the community, so that I explained it to someone one day that was like, all these other realtors were paying the newspaper to advertise. I was using my own money to build my own newspaper on Facebook. And then I was the only one able to advertise on that for the rest of my life. They were locked out. And I go, who's got the better strategy? You're paying the newspaper, I'm building my own media, right? Like, and so that's kind of how I think of it. Even, YouTube or any social media channel, even an email list, you're building that asset, and then it can be used in many different ways. But if you're just simply buying an ad somewhere, you're using their asset in the one way that's making them money too, right? So I think it's been available all along. And this business, the longer I'm in it, the better it is, the more business comes from that type of activity than cold lead gen.
Sure.
Because the one thing I've learned, I know you want to talk about mindset today too, this is kind of like a hybrid answer, is that when you attract your business to you and you actually are who you are, you get people who want to work with you. and you don't have to fake it every day. You don't have to go be a chameleon and change your views and your opinions and laugh at other people's jokes and smile at people you don't even like.
Yeah.
That's what rips your soul out of this business, right?
Oh, totally,
and
man, for sure.
we all have a different match out there. The perfect client for Jeff is a different than the perfect client for Ryan. And so, guys like you actually helped me learn that, right? And some other people, this idea of standing in your truth and just like not, bearing your scars or just being yourself, right?
Sure.
Like, and the population's big enough that there's plenty of you out there to do business with. But that I don't think people who started well before this age of digital media ever had an opportunity like that. You could only meet enough people face by face to show the true you, but even then maybe you got to put on the country club vibe or the whatever event you're at vibe, right?
Yeah.
But today, social, and you can meet your people right inside your own city. You didn't even know they existed. Your shared interests, your whatever makes you common. People want to do business with themselves, basically, right?
Sure. And so as you've transferred into, the leadership role and ownership role, I would think that many of your agents have attracted to you for the same reasons. What is it that, gets in the way of their productivity at the start, and how do you support them in transferring into that same mindset to, attract the right people, work with the clients that you want to work with, and, not have to, I guess, show up in a mask every day for, your clientele or anyone for that matter?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it depends how deep under the onion we want to go. At first, understanding who you really are is a layer that some people aren't even comfortable with yet. Like, who am I? Or then the second layer, if you do understand that, is am I comfortable enough to put that person out there, and show that person off? And so the more, those are deep, but the more friction you want, right at the top, on top of those is, will I lose business? I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to cut anyone out of my potential client pool, right? So I don't want to take a stand or have an opinion or potentially show myself a little more casual or with my guard down or my makeup not done because I'm afraid that would lose me a piece of business. So that's a scarcity mindset, right? And that's hard. Again, that's going to keep you in that mode. When you realize, one of the first things I try to communicate to new people, whether it's new to my brand or new to the business, is that, take this the right way. Real estate's like the funeral business. Like, people are out there buying and selling houses without us, man. Like, they're doing it yesterday before you got your license. They're doing it tomorrow, even if you never call them, right? Our job isn't to sell people real estate. Our job is to get into the transaction with them and then help them along the way, right? They're going to hire somebody else anyways. So it's this mindset around, there are deals everywhere. And the more you're open to it, the more you're going to attract clients you want to work with, versus if you're in a scarcity mindset, then any little glimmer of a terrible lead, you're going to bend over backwards for. And you're going to learn that behavior over and over again. But you and I both know that's not great sales behavior. You might get some paychecks, but you're going to get walked over. You're going to be getting all the worst bottom of the barrel clients, right? Who want to push their realtor around, tell them what to do. And that again, you got to have a good mindset. And the best way to have a good mindset in this business is have positive experiences with your clients. You'll want to have more of them. If you are getting punched in the gut every time you pick up the phone, you're going to be a bit gun shy eventually, right? So
sure.
And this is all, like, I didn't invent this stuff. I just learned it. Like, I started with pay-per-click, right? I started just being, I'll put the suit on, I'll buy the 4-door Acura, I'll do the canned listing presentation. But the more my career's gone, the more I dress myself, I talk as myself, I speak from the top of my mind and not from a script, more and more people have wanted to work for me. And so that's just like, it's just my own evidence on that, right?
And the same principle applies as you attract agents as well, right? You're attracting agents that are like-minded people and want to personally and professionally grow. And yes, they're going to, need some mentoring and training and, some support on how to break through some of these barriers. But, every time that I found that, even on a enrollment, standpoint with, agents coming in, whenever I've been a maybe, because I thought they were just so in that lack or scarcity mindset, or a maybe as far as not fitting with the company culture, it always turned into a no.
Yeah, your gut's pretty good with that stuff. And also, if you already have a strong culture, an outlier is going to be really obvious, more so than a company that has a weak, fragmented culture. More people can fit in. but it might not even be like your gut sensed it, but then plug that the person wasn't even in yet. Once they're in, then it's like the difference is amplified because they're not fitting in with your admin. They're getting in arguments with other agents. And you're like, whoa. So yeah, to me, I don't know the right way to say it, but like, to me, it's never been a numbers game, or we've never put financial goals or headcount goals at the company. Of course, we're trying to make money. We're business people, right? But we don't think of it like that. The growth has always happened faster than we've actually wanted. We're always trying to keep up. And so I never want that to change. I'll kind of try to build that into any venture I do in the future, because that way, at the end of the day, no matter whether you're a salesperson or you run the brokerage, right, Ryan, or you're back in the admin department, most of our jobs are interfacing with the other humans in the world, not the computer screens, not if they are, that's boring anyways, but it is the other people that make the day, enjoyable. It's not the task, it's the humans that you have to interface with across all departments, right? And so we try really hard to make all those interactions as positive as possible at the company, in both directions for everybody, right? Because I want to have a good day too.
Sure.
And I don't think a lot of people think of that how important that is. Just that, like, you can give up revenue or give up growth to get the right people or to wait for the right people, because the mission's then going to be enjoyable. But a winning mission with a horrible team you're going to wish you never did it. I know it. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I've experienced that both in with my own teams and some failures inside of that. And certainly I see, in some markets, including my own, you've got, companies that are the largest by a long shot, but so many small fish caught in the big pond that are really struggling. And if they just shifted, not necessarily to my company, but, in any market, a company that is more forward thinking and has that culture dynamic to it, I think you're going to see some huge productivity. One of the questions I get often, and I would like to ask you, you continue to, sell some real estate as far as transacting, right?
Yep.
So I would think that the agents that come into your environment must have an abundance mindset, or at least learn it very quickly with a broker that continues to operate.
Yeah, I mean, we're transparent about it. We made a decision, my partner and I, that although we continue to trade because of necessity, quite honestly, because trading is far more lucrative than owning a brokerage.
Totally.
But we decided to not be publicly competitive with our agents. So I had if you ever met Mike or I, neither of us are ego people. We have no interest in having our name or face on a billboard. We also try our best to take our opportunities and level up a rookie or let somebody else's name be on the sign if our client's cool with it. So even though we are out there selling with them, at this point, we do zero lead generation too. So it's just business we're getting rewarded with for being in the business 10 years now, out of our book and out of repeat. And we focus most of our energy too into a segment where the majority of our agents don't play, which is deep into the investor world. So we don't find ourselves out there competing with, the majority of residential realtors. But I'll say that Ryan, that exists up and down the chain, but also incredibly sideways in a brokerage too. If a realtor is going to be jealous that their broker, the person that wakes up every day and runs the company and deals with all the garbage, is out there making one paycheck in this business, they're certainly also jealous of everyone who's on the top producer board, everyone who sold a house this month when they didn't. So that's a clear sign of it's not just a scarcity mindset on one issue, it's just period. And it's something I would hope to be able to coach out. But if someone's so set in their ways, then, it'd be tough to find like a totally non-selling broker unless you're at a big mega brokerage, right? And then you realize that person's not going to give you any attention anyways, because they have 400 or 700 agents or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think that one way or another, the broker's selling. It's just the way that it's set up, right?
Yeah,
so I think people need to recognize that. But I was just curious how you approach that. It's very similar to how we do too.
Well, I would say too, I always, I think it's important too that I don't really need to transact that much. My partner Mike would do the actual deal side of it, and he's our broker record, and I would do the marketing. That's kind of like how we got together back in the day as a team, right? I was already not very transactional, but I actually think it's very important. I explain it the other way too. Like, how could you work for a company where the broker doesn't get his hands dirty once in a while and write a contract or go on a listing presentation or lose right? Or get knocked over by a slimy agent. And this, I feel it's almost disingenuous to get out of the field. So, I pay extra attention when I do get an opportunity. Like one of my personal friends wanted me to sell his house, and he wanted me to take care of it, right? And it was going to be a big deal. So I took it as the opportunity to level up every piece of the marketing as like a showcase to be like, here's what everybody could do the next time you get something like this. I'll outspend, I'll go crazy with the staging and the marketing and everything, and extra videos, just as an example, right? Of to kind of like level up everything again. Or for example, if, one agent, if I hear the same complaint too many times, like a lead gen thing, like, we're struggling with sellers. Well, that helps me think, so am I. So what would I do? And I start dreaming up, here's the posts I would make, or here's the graphics. And the next thing you know, they're off to graphics department and they're available for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important too, like, is the scarcity mindset in your head, or is your broker actually really competitive against you? Or are they doing the stuff that's benefiting the whole company?
Sure. Sure.
And I think that has to happen laterally too. Again, if you feel that your next door neighbor, like a private office next door neighbor, is actively throwing you under the bus in a competitive listing presentation, that's going to affect, like, you're going to feel that company wide, because we all wear the same logo. So it takes everybody feeling very collaborative and not trying to shaft each other really out there. It's a tough business for that, right? Though everyone's on 100% commission and hungry. So there has to just be a lot of maturity, that it's like, okay, may the best man or woman win when we bump into each other out there, and courteously. Okay. So yeah, it's just treating everyone with a lot of respect too, I think, and being transparent when we are bumping into each other out there in the marketplace.
Well, I think that you speak well to the, being in the trenches part of it as well. I think that not only that, from what I've seen, in years past, plus, now more than ever, and we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, is just that, the coaching training space has become so diluted with those that have not, actually done anything inside of the industry. And I don't slight anyone for, wanting to get involved in coach, but I always question why and how somebody enrolls into somebody's space for, a one-on-one relationship with somebody that may not have, had a result in it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it shows a bigger issue with our industry, that everybody's craving education, right? Yeah. It's obviously not being provided in the right ways en masse. And then, I think there's a place for every trainer, but I think, the person hiring the trainer it's due diligence, right? It's buyer beware. That, I've always done better, to be quite honest, having a trainer that's only a few steps ahead of me, not a million.
Sure.
But other people want to hire the pro, right? And as I was saying to you before the call too, sometimes just calling someone you respect and saying, hey, just point me to the right article on Wikipedia, just so I can get rid of the 50 wrong ones. And just, I'm smart. Once you tell me this is what zone works, I'll go do my research.
Yeah.
So I think some of the problem is it's getting really easy for whoever's got the best image, or the best algorithm hack, or the best stuff to also assume they have the answer for you and not dig a little deeper. It would be just as disingenuous as hiring a contractor based on their website and not looking for a reference or going to check one of their other job sites, right?
Totally.
Totally. Right. But it's kind of what the coaching layer is just blown up, and it's only just happening now to real estate, right? There's been life coaches and every other industry for as long as, so I think it's very valuable, and there's a place for almost any experience. If you know something, sure, pass it downhill, charge for it if it's worth something. But it's on the buyer of that service to make sure that the thing they're buying is actually, worth something, or it's even what you want, right? You could hire the wrong coach that's going to teach you to take your career over here, when that's only one path. Maybe you want to do it a different way. So yeah, for sure, man.
Take us through, I guess, the principles and the cultures that Redline has. Maybe a little bit of background. I mean, there'll be people on here that are both in the Calgary market, your market around, and I know that you guys will probably be expanding further. So, let's hear a little bit about Redline, because I think that there's so many options right now. There's so much distraction right now in the selecting a broker or brokerage space as well. And you guys, I know, lend extreme value to your agents, and I will certainly support, recommending you in any which way I can.
Well, I appreciate that.
Except
yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Stay out of my backyard. Yeah, we actually formed the company as Darren and I were mastermind friends. Darren's in Calgary. I'm in Brantford. We met through Tom Ferry and we clicked, right? We would mastermind weekly, dealing with the same problems. He owned the brokerage Redline. It was already in existence, but they were running the residential side of it as a team. So everybody was part of Darren's team. There were no real independent contractors per se. And I was running and growing a team inside of a franchise system here in Brantford. And we were just helping each other week in and week out. But all the positivity turned to negativity at some point. And we both realized that every week we weren't celebrating. We were just complaining about these things we had built. And we didn't feel like, not that they weren't great. I'll tell you, the people that were in them were making money. We were making money. It was great. But it almost felt like it wasn't really what either of us wanted. It didn't seem like it had a long future to keep growing it. And I'm all about growth, right? If I'm not growing, I might as well just retire. I'm not passionate to get up and just do revolutions. So I have to have something exciting to go for, or my energy just drops to 10% and I would just do nothing all day. Right. Sure. But if I have something exciting for, I can run at full speed, like 24/7. So the whole team I had built I had lost my enthusiasm, and it was happening at the same time for Darren. And I said, hey man, like we've seen eye to eye for so long, like, let's just figure something out here. I flew out there to his place and we kind of wrote down everything we loved about our teams, but where all the friction point was. And for me also, having the 2-layer system, I was like, where's the friction between the agents, the team, and the broker? And we wrote all that down on a series of whiteboards and tried to solve it with a new business plan. And I guess we did, right? So the start of it was us building a brokerage we wanted to work for, not one that we wanted to own. Right? We wanted to build one wished we had as we were young agents, and still to this day. It also had this flavor of, as a team leader, and you see this across our whole industry. I'll say a side note that I think the mega teams only exist because generally brokers are not doing their job. Totally. The teams are rising up and filling the gap that the less experienced agents have, and the team leader's filling it instead of the broker, right? Yeah. And so if there were a lot of high value, this was our hypothesis, that if we did all this same stuff that the agents were craving and loving for our team, just at the brokerage level instead, we would have this new thing kind of in the industry. Turns out it's not a new thing. It's how real estate used to be back in like the 50s, where, it was a very tight knit group. You counted on your broker for stuff. Agents supported each other, high-fived each other when they won, came to social events, participated in team meetings, all believed in the culture, marketed the same, used the same signage. Like, it turns out a lot of our new school ideas are very old school. But then when we apply them with today's tools and technology, bringing marketing departments in-house, having our contractors interface directly with the brand and not just the agent. So you're booking your media, even though we use a range of media suppliers, they all deliver stuff to our standards. So our marketing department can do it automatically. So literally we took like the experience of being a top producing agent, having all your own admin, having all your own stuff set up, your own coaching and training, but we're giving that to everybody at every production level. And then our number one thing, like the thing I coach to, I get up every day and try to maintain, and I work really hard. It's the hardest part of my job is the culture of collaboration, right? Our industry inside of a building or inside of a city is typically not very collaborative. Our relationship, Ryan, started because I couldn't get any help inside my own city. I was seen as a competitor. And finally, Virginia invited me to this Real Partners group.
That's right.
And then I met this amazing group of people, because we were all 40 minutes away from each other, would openly tell everybody what we did.
Sure.
It was like magic. Literally, I was almost ready to end the career before Real Partners, because I was seen, and I'll put a lot of it on me. I didn't make a lot of friends when I started, but I didn't have a lot of friend making skills. I was a computer programmer trying to do his own thing in the real estate industry. So I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I'm obviously opinionated and things like that too. But when I found you guys, and then I found a Tom Ferry coaching community where nobody from Brantford was in that thing. Like any top producer in North America was sharing all their best stuff with me, right? And I'm like, this is what I want. And so I literally tried to bring that vibe in-house, but it's not the default, right? That's the hardest thing we do every day, is to encourage that. And so we have to share down, we have to solve our problems that way. We have to, have our admin support agents in that way, where everything's collaborative. We're all trying to get the deal done. We're all trying to get the client experience better. We're all trying to get that review. It's not just like, hey, agent, you go sell deals and I'll process things. Like everyone's focused on just helping everyone get to their goals.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to do that better than anyone else. Like that's my mission every day. And I love it too, because that's the company. If I didn't have a company like that, I wouldn't go to work every day either. If I felt like I was just putting out fires every day or everybody's just angry at each other, like it would have never got this big because I would have just stopped going to work.
Totally.
Totally. So it's kind of like this building the company. It is exactly what we wanted. If somebody else had this thing when I started, I'd just be working at it still.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I felt like I had to go build it for myself, for all of us. And it turns out a lot of people also like it. So that's kind of like, that makes you feel good.
So 100%. And I know this, and I've watched you do it. I've watched your trajectory. You're a lead by example kind of fellow. Now you're putting so much time, effort, consistency into the company. You believe in the company, which is obviously crucial as well. But you, and what I know of you is you live this great big whole life as well, family man, cottage. I see, scaling mountains and rocks, investment side of it. I guess my first question, and a question that, I get in other areas, not that I'm on the side of a mountain, but, how do you do so much and still maintain, the leadership role in the company? And number two, how do you feel that you continually to serve yourself in order to do all these things at such a high level and high capacity?
Well, I'll start with number one, because it's an easy answer. People who, we all show our best selves on social media, but I have down days like everybody else, right? I've had mental health challenges like everybody else. I've had days, months where the motivation's gone. We don't post those days, unfortunately, on Instagram, right? No. But the truth is, I've been to those depths, so I know that I must take care of myself first. It's non-negotiable, right? Because if I don't take care of myself, all the people that count on me don't get me either. Mm-hmm. So it's not an either or. It's one begets the other. Put on your oxygen mask first, right? So I just realized that so much, especially over this pandemic, over the last year and a half, and now knowing that taking care of yourself is guilt-free. It's actually the most healthy thing you can do for everybody that counts on you, right? Because I also know if I show up as the wrong version of myself, that messes everybody up below me for days. Because they all take that energy cue off of me, right? If I show up complaining, everybody starts complaining. All right, in your house, it's a lot of weight to be at the top, right? So number one is you work on it every day. You do so this stuff, having the work-life balance is non-negotiable for me. Some people are grind machines, and bless your heart, you probably will run past me at some point in your life. I'm not, man. I learned a long time ago that I can't run that fast for that long. I'm an on-off type of guy because I'm only all in when I'm on. And so I have to be all out sometimes too. I'm never like 50% in. And, for over 8 years, me and my wife have taken Wednesdays off pre-pandemic because there's nothing to do now. But from all that time, even being a salesperson, we would take Wednesdays as date day because I knew I had to work on the weekends and stuff, call them Wellness Wednesdays. My life has always been surrounded on building a better life for me, not just a better income. So I've just learned it's non-negotiable. And I've also now seen with enough track record that the better I'm doing and the more I'm happy about my results and my goal, the more everybody around me is leveling up. Yeah. So I really envision myself to be like the bow of a ship, right? Where my job is to be running full speed, leading by example, just doing it all. But also able to admit if I got too much on my plate and I need to take off for 2 weeks, right? And cancel my team meetings, even though I'm sure everyone would appreciate if I would log in and do a meeting. But I also know that I've been running pretty hard and I need a break too, right? Yeah. And so I think that's like the why you do it. The how for me has been really, people ask a lot because it does seem like I can do a lot from the outside. Number one is having incredible teams. I'm doing none of this alone, right? In this house, my wife bears 80% of the responsibility of the kids in the household, right? That's far more than 50%, right? Yeah. And she does that because that's like how it's got to be, right? At my work, like I said, I'm not the broker of record. I've never even looked in the bank account of our company. I don't even know how to log in, right? So there's having really good teams you can trust. Obviously, with the brand Redline, we've got our partners out west, so like nothing's as hard when you got two companies growing at the same time. And you got two marketing departments. Everyone's bouncing ideas off each other. And then being able to, I think one of my secret sauces of like having people under you to delegate to is I take a lot of time to explain why we do things, not just what we do, to every week. We have admin meetings, a whole roundtable meeting once a week, every single week. And I realized that we have to keep these meetings going even when nothing's going wrong, or else we're only going to meet when things are going wrong. So we have happy meetings. We just say win of the weeks, who helped you this week, who was a nice agent this week. Imagine having positive meetings and not just negative meetings all the time. But that way, when little things come up, like, hey, what about this? We're not in crisis mode every time. There's plenty of time to me to explain the backstory, how we got here, why that policy is that way, and openly listen and have the space to change it. Right. So I think it's like, it has been a big challenge. I'll tell you, Ryan, like I'm not every man's leader. And now I have 60 people. So my, Redline is bigger than me now. It's not just Jeff's company, but I'm trying to keep it our company, right? It's gone a little wider than Jeff's perfect vision of the world, because I realize that there's these great people who want to do business a little differently than me, and that's okay, right? We're all still sharing the same culture and values. So the last but not least thing I'll say that is just saying no. Like, you see all the stuff I'm doing, but you don't see all the stuff I'm not doing, which is nothing else, right? I have very little social life. I'm not out, partying with friends a lot or anything like that. I have no other interests, like going to my cottage and rock climbing and running my businesses are my interests, right? But we try to overlap stuff too. Like, we do investment projects up at the cottage and in Brantford, right? And so I think that, like, I always describe it as having having a lighthouse, as having your big goal, right? And what that does is gives you like a zone, not a direct target, but a zone. And then you realize there's things that fit in that zone and there's things that don't, right? Like, for example, like golf doesn't fit in my zone, right? It's not that exciting to me. I don't get a lot of pleasure of it. I hardly ever get 4 or 5 hours off at a time. And if I did, I'd rather be in another city. So, when all my friends were joining the country club, it was pretty easy for me to not do that. But for some people, you might have did it, and now you're wasting all these nights doing something you don't even really enjoy, and wondering why you have no free time, right? And things like that. And so, I don't watch a lot of TV, or I'm not a sports fan. So there's all these things I'm not, right? And I'm really good at a few things, and I put all my energy in it. And I actually don't like being bored either. So I don't do any, like, if I'm not having something to do, I go work on one of my projects. Because none of it feels like work is the funny thing, eh? Like, when you frame it up right too. So it's just my wife has to remind me sometimes that, like, it is work, and turn it off a little bit and come live life. But even this podcast right now, it just feels like life today. It doesn't feel like I'm taking an hour away from something else. It's all part of the podcast, or the lighthouse.
It's so true, man. And I've had a pile of people go, like, why are you starting a podcast again? Why are you doing that? I'm like, because I enjoy it. I enjoy connecting with other people. I enjoy, contributing to the industry with people that, are actually going to bring value. And, I do like other things as well, but it is finding those things that, float your own boat, right? And I think that when we do that, and we don't just, have to please everybody else, that's where that productivity path really, really, really comes into play.
My wife and I have a little funny saying, that, like, you get an invite for something, and it's like, oh, thanks for the obligation.
For sure.
But that it's part of getting older too, for me, that realizing that every dream comes with maintenance. Dreams aren't free, right? So, like, if you get something, or you add something to your world, if it's not just a one-time thing, like a new house or a cottage comes with lots of extra maintenance time and obligation. And I was just talking about this with an agent who he bought a boat for half a year and got rid of it already. He's like, I never drove the thing. I'm like, yeah, you're a real estate agent. You're at the country club. Like, you're building an awesome house with a pool. Like, when are you taking this to the lake? Once a year? It's all the maintenance to get it ready and put it away. All that isn't worth the one day. Just rent a boat or rent some jet skis for the day.
Totally.
And so I think I'm pretty good at making those decisions for myself. Like, not, I don't chase shiny pennies in life very often. I'm pretty clear on what makes me happy and what doesn't. And I just do it.
I know that you do. What is coming up next for you in the second half of 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, well, it's been really exciting. So, like I was saying, my partner that I own the brokerage with, and two other partners got together about 2.5 years ago and said, hey, like, we all know a lot about investing. We've got a few different skills between the construction side, the real estate side, and all that. let's do this together. And we kind of wrote a little partnership agreement that made things really easy, because we said, we're not going to do any investments without each other. Let's move forward. It was like the cleanest little, partnership ever.
Yeah.
And turns out the timing couldn't have been better. Like, we went on a tear and started buying up stuff, and then COVID hit, which was really stressful, but then turns around, 2 months later, the real estate market explodes.
Sure.
So we've just been going crazy with doing projects. At one time, I think we had 9 open flips at the single time.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really allowed us to scale that up really quickly and bring the same type of like systemizing and automation that we've brought to real estate sales and now brokerage to this side of development. And so we're going to continue doing on that, but we're buying some more exciting stuff. We just got like 100-acre parcel up north. We got some waterfront stuff. And we're also now kind of growing up from doing flips to doing more development. So we're going to be building ground up, our own units and also units to sell. But again, it's just like, I really encourage anybody who's in this industry, and I try to encourage all my agents too, to start to dip your toe in just a little bit, even if it's just working with investors, because this side of the business, one good deal could double your income.
Yeah.
Right. And we have all the knowledge. This is what I had to realize. I started working with this commercial realtor, shout out to Sean at my brokerage, but he would sit down and explain to me these very complicated commercial deals, stuff that's no sign in the yard, right? Land assemblies and zoning changes and all this. And he would always explain to me how underpaid he is, even though sometimes he makes 6 figures on one of these deals, right? Because he shows me the work, years of work sometimes that goes into these. Yeah. And it really helped me realize that we kind of do the same thing in real estate, right? If you listen out there to the news media, we're very overpaid. But if you really think about it, if you applied all your skills and did make someone get a crazy high offer or flip a house up, and that other person made all that money, you can certainly do that for yourself. Like, the only gap is the money, maybe, if you don't have it. And I can show you how to solve that problem pretty quick, right? So all of a sudden this like light bulb hit that it's like, there's nothing more to learn, Ryan. We already know everything to go make a lot of money right out there. I call it insider trading, because we're not doing anything illegal. In fact, we're really good renovators. We're not these fly-by-nighters. Like, we'll photograph the whole job. Everything's done to code, inspected, because we're held to a higher standard. We own a brokerage, right? And I want to show to people that, everybody could do this. I don't know what held me back from being like 15 and wanting to do this to being like, 40 and finally doing it. Yeah. But I wish I would have done it younger. I'm training my kids how to be real estate investors, man, like this. So I encourage everybody to just start. It's not that hard. You just got to be willing to learn a few extra skills, but you already have most of them. And so that's what gets me really excited now, because it is our whole job as a real estate agent, our whole job as a broker, but now it's like you're your own client for the rest of your life. And to me, just being in charge and being in control of my destiny is the most satisfying thing. So I think that's why I get a kick out of investing the most.
I love it, man. I love it. Future plans for Redline? Anything coming up? I know that I'm feeling as we head into summer, they're zoomed out, they're conferenced out. But what's coming up that people can check out Redline, and where are the best places that people can find you?
Yeah, well, my social media is all under my full name. If you type Jeff Thibodeau into Google, you'll find me on your favorite channel. Do everything publicly. So if you want to friend me up on Insta or Facebook, also publish a lot of stuff over on YouTube in terms of following along our flip projects. We bring camera crews all the time. I do spreadsheet analysis of deals and stuff. So I try to be really educational on the investment space over on YouTube. Facebook and Insta are just a little more fun. And then my company, we're not doing anything too much publicly right now. Like I said, we've never really had, when we first opened up, we did a lot of public training events and things like that to encourage people to get familiar with our brand. But if you want to check us out, we launched a new national website that we share with our partners out west. So that's kind of cool, redlinecanada.com. And, just give me a call if you're interested in what we have to offer. We're obviously a brokerage across all of Ontario. We have expanded. We have agents. We have an agent up in Ottawa area now. Nice. And so we're up for anything, right? Like I said, we're a people first organization. We don't have a specific expansion or growth plan right now, but if the right person started talking to us, we'd start those conversations.
Oh man, and I always appreciate and am always impressed by you and the things that you do. And I actually will be giving you another call to find out more. I want to hear more about this investment development, because as I head for 44, I'm in the exact same boat, man, in terms of wanting to do something and not having pulled the trigger on that yet. So
yeah, I'll
Jeff
say the biggest thing that held me back was not wanting to be a landlord. I have got 100 ways to make money without being a landlord now. Like it was this one speed bump that stopped you from trying to solve the real, like, how do I do it without that then?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I have not been a landlord yet in all of my experience of doing
So
this.
good.
So yeah,
good.
I'm happy to chat about that whenever. And dude, I really appreciate you too. Always taking the time. I remember you showing me your office at the beginning and explaining to me how you got your first 9 deals. And it really helped me, man, whether you know it or not. It was like I said, I always had these like little secret mentors that were a few steps ahead of me. And I definitely, at the beginning of my sales career, I really took the advice you gave me to heart. And cause I was like, well, here's a guy that's like doing it, right? Like, and he's doing it like what I want to do, but better. Right. So thanks again for, giving that to me at the beginning of my career and continuing to be an industry friend. And I wish you nothing but success, man.
Oh, it's an honor, brother. I appreciate you. Jeff Thibodeau, everybody, and follow along with him. I'm going to post all of his links and keep connecting with Jeff. He is a great leader inside of this industry and one of the leaders that the industry needs most right now. So stay tuned for more episodes of Rise Up. We'll bring some other value to you in the near future. And thanks for watching today.